Why did I quit accounting? This is going to be a very honest, transparent video about the good and the bad of accounting. This is a question I just got asked, and it's understandable because on this channel, I have done a lot of videos about the big four public accounting firms, which are the four biggest accounting firms in the world. I've done videos about obviously interviewing, resumes, but obviously a lot of stuff just about the big four and accounting in general, like the accounting degree. In addition, of course, I do a lot of videos about Lyft and Uber and the gig economy. You know, this kind of like a mini variety style channel about just money in general, right? Money, business, finance, etc. But this is, I think, a question that really does address a lot of the tone, if I'd say that, for a lot of my videos. Because a lot of my videos, if you look at a spectrum of positive versus negative when it comes to accounting and the big four public accounting firms, they usually teeter on negative. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of positive things to being an accountant. There's a lot of good things about being an accountant. There are a lot of amazing benefits to working at the big four public accounting firms, but I am really happy I quit accounting. And I know this is a question that I have gotten a lot because people say, hey, Mark, you do all these videos about it, but it seemed like you just quit. Like, what was the main reason? What was the precipitant, right? And there's a couple different ways I could answer this. So to start it off, and again, this is going to be very kind of like raw, fireside chat style video. I'm just very honest. I'm going to tell you exactly the things that I wish I knew as well before getting into accounting. One, the biggest reason, and it's kind of the same answer, but also very different when it comes to this. The biggest thing is the work was horrible. That's honestly the biggest thing. That's the biggest reason why I left. And this does teeter on, I hate to say it in this way, some philosophy, which I know I'll touch upon. I feel like I almost have to for a video like this. That basically, I graduated college with an accounting degree, and even before that, oh, excuse me, I'm always a little raspy today. But graduated college with an accounting degree, and before I did even, got the internship, or did the internship, excuse me, at the Big Four, got the full-time offer before my senior year, right? And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, my entire senior year, I did not have to worry about not finding a job. I didn't have to worry about job hunting. I didn't really have to worry about financial stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty much set. I have a job already lined up when I graduate in Boston in September. You know, I graduated college, I think, in May or June, so then later that year, starting in September. That summer, I went to Rome. I bartended, DJ'd, and club promoted around Rome. Great way to kind of finish off my college career / like transitioning into the real world. And when I started at Deloitte, again, as a first year, I only worked there for 2 months. I mentioned this before in other videos. And the biggest thing that kind of made me realize, and the main reason why I quit accounting, is one, I hated the work. The environment was very toxic. The work was horrible. It's funny because when I was in college, they kept saying, trust me, accounting's not just crunching numbers. Like, they went out of their way to kind of dispel that myth. And I have done a video about the biggest myths when it comes to the big four public accounting firms. I'll post it in the description below if you want to check it out. And that was one of the biggest ones. And it's kind of annoying to me, looking back in hindsight, just being honest, that the recruiters and everybody went really out of their way. I'm stressing, maybe this is what you're experiencing if you're in college. They went super out of their way. I'm not even saying, to use a Boston term, wicked out of their way to dispel that myth. Yet when I started working, that's exactly what it was just crunching numbers. And the work was horrible. The very toxic work environment. They don't really care a lot about you. There's an infinite, literally, depending on how you look at this from a statistical perspective, an infinite amount of work you can do. So it's just brutal. It's just absolutely brutal. It's one thing after the other, which is just crunching numbers, very soul-sucking. I know a lot of people who started at the Big Four, they got sucked into it in terms of, like, they just forgot how to live, and I hate to say it in that way, but again, this will teeter on both the work environment, but also some philosophy, because I think it's important to look at both sides. And this does kind of combine into my decision to quit accounting. And just was at the point where I was like, you know what? This is not the way life should be lived, right? In terms of crunching numbers, all this kind of stuff. Around the same time, I was really getting big into electronic music production. That was kind of like the first step. YouTube was kind of on the horizon, but not really. I did mess with YouTube. I maybe say it that way. I did mess with YouTube, but right now, in case you don't know, I'm a DJ and electronic musician and a YouTuber. I do dabble with other things. I have done acting. I've done some modeling. I've done some other like freelance work. I've done some stuff in cryptocurrency. But for the most part, when people ask me like, what do you do? I say DJ and producer and a YouTuber. And around this time, I was like, you know, I was pursuing music. I really started to fall in love with electronic music. I've been into music all my life. And it just kind of hit me like, look, you know, at this point, I'm 23. At this time, I was 23. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do, which is kind of crazy. On my birthday, a couple days leading up to my birthday, and on my birthday, I was working on this song. It was the first song I ever like produced, if I'd call it that. Went to New York, I think it was that weekend, and entered in a song contest with, I think it was a Broad Jam was the company, but it was some song contest. Ended up getting second place in this entire contest for my song. And that was kind of like a big, kind of cool little first bright company. Like, okay, you know what? Maybe there's something here. Like, if I'm able to get second place for my first ever song, maybe that's saying something, right? Like, maybe that's saying something that there is something here that maybe I should keep pursuing this because, like I said, I've been into music all my life. And in addition, you know, I was DJing a lot of house parties in college, all this kind of stuff. And then it just kind of hit me one day. I'm like, you know what? I think actually one of the best decisions I can make is to leave accounting early. A lot of people said to me, just take it off for 1 year at Deloitte, just last 1 year and then go from there. And I realized, like, you know what, like, I just don't think I can do that. I don't think I can last a year. I know that that's probably on paper the best thing you can do. And I will say that. I think that if you are going to work at the Big Four and you do want to stay in the business world, you should at least do a year, maybe even 2 years if you can stick it out, get senior. That's the most optimal route, in my opinion, for the Big Four, and then leaving after that and then bouncing out to something else. But it just kind of hit me like, you know, that's still time is the most valuable thing. If I wait a year, that's a year of my time just wasted doing the Big Four. As opposed to me living 2 months, that's 10 months extra time I can now pursue into DJing. So the main reason, in general, when I quit accounting, honestly, kind of bring it back to what we're talking about, is one, just the work was that bad. The work was that bad, and kind of going hand in hand with that, like I said, I just realized this is not what I want my life to be like. You know, I didn't want it to be this corporate puppet sitting in a cubicle, crunching numbers all day, doing this over and over again. And so it's a combination of those two things, because I did do other jobs that I did like, and I did other jobs that were more corporate-y, working for the man, if I had to say it like that I did enjoy, right? So I think the good thing about accounting is because and it's kind of funny looking back on this in hindsight, because I hated it so much, it drove me to want to leave. Like, there's one quote I heard one time saying that, like, the thing that's going to stop you from doing what you want isn't something bad, it's something good that you settle for. And a lot of people do get a good job that they settle for and they don't go for something bigger, as opposed to, like, say, if you get a really horrible job, you're more likely to leave quicker, right? I think another way people word that is like the enemy of the good is the best, or the enemy of, however, the enemy of the best is the good, excuse me. You kind of get what I'm saying. But I think it's those two things, right? And I'm not trying to bash anyone trying to get into accounting. It is a great career. It is a great degree to have. I still get job offers now. And I know, let's say, if things, you know, never work out with YouTube or music, let's say, you never know, entrepreneurship is a very rocky road. So isn't being a musician and a content creator, if I call it like that, you know, it is a very rocky road. It's very unpredictable. You never know. There's a lot of ups, a lot of downs. It's way more work than most people can expect until you do it. And I think that, you know, the good thing, at least looking back on it, is, let's say, if I ever had to, I could go back into accounting. And so I do want to say, I don't think accounting is a bad career. And if you want to stay in business and you do want to do business and you do want to go down that route, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing. But the big reason for me quitting accounting was to basically pursue these dreams that I had and to try to make my life something that I would look at as, I don't use the word amazing because that's kind of weird to say it like that, but I really want to pursue all these things that I'm into to make my life super exciting, where every day I woke up and I got to do exactly what I wanted to do without anyone telling me what to do. I think for most people, though, and this is something I've realized throughout my years, I think there's two ways to be happy in life. Again, I know I'm getting philosophical, but it does add into this video. One is making money doing what you love. A lot easier said than done, and we probably all heard this, that someone loves making pastries. They're a pastry chef. That's their thing. And they start making pastries, and then they start making money doing it. And then they end up hating the thing that they loved because now they're making money doing it. So the first way is to make money doing what you love. A lot easier said than done, and you might wind up hating what you actually initially loved because now it's like your job or whatever. The second way, though, I think to be happy in life is to find something that maybe you're not the biggest fan of, and that's okay, but it allows you to do all the things that you love. Like, I have friends who have remote jobs, so they're going to be honest with, like, hey, Mark, the remote job, it kind of sucks. It's kind of boring. I do data entry, but it's remote, and the remoteness of the job pays well enough, and it pays pretty well, that allows me to travel. It allows me to be working at a coffee shop at 2 p.m. in a beautiful Southern California cafe, right? It allows me to do the things I really love to do. And I think for most people, not to get philosophical, but I think it's important for this video, option B is the easier one. to find a job that allows you to do something that maybe you don't love the job itself, but it allows you to do all these other things that you truly are passionate about. It allows you to, like, say, on a random Friday at 3 p.m., go for a bike ride because that's the thing that you love. Or to wake up at 7 a.m., go surfing. You don't start working until noon, but as long as you get your work done for the day, doesn't matter. You just have to get your work done because you're doing a remote job, or you're doing a job. I know Google's like this where they say, hey, as long as you get your stuff done, we don't care about your schedule. We're not going to babysit you. You just got to get it done, right? And I think that's a big thing to be said about this particular video too, because when I quit accounting, I was like, I want to make my passions the thing that I'm making money from, which is what happened, right? Things kind of really took off for me in 2016. So it was a big struggle for about 4 years from 2012 to 2016 to like actually make all the stuff I'm doing now work and actually make it work. But in 2016, that's when things kind of really started kind of come to fruition and whatnot. And I know I'm kind of going on this huge tangent, but I do think, again, for this video, not to give you a bunch of, not to sound like a broken record, but I think the two main reasons, again, why I quit accounting is one, the work was just that bad. It was horrible. It was soul-sucking, not fun at all. And two, I just realized not only is this not the way life should be lived, of doing this boring work in a cubicle, but I want to actually make my passions and dreams become a reality of me making money doing those, right? Now, of course, though, everybody's path is different. I'm not saying everyone here watching this video who's considering being in accounting has to stop doing whatever. I do think there's a lot of benefits to being an accountant. But being honest, when people talk about it's just crunching numbers and the work is pretty bad and it's kind of a toxic environment, in most cases, that is the case. In most jobs, that is the case. But at the end of the day, like I've said before in so many videos, the bigger the firm, the worse it's going to be, even though the benefits might be a little better, but not by a lot. And this is why I suggest pursuing regional firms, testing out the waters, if you like it or not, definitely test out the waters, and then go from there.